like...
It's insane, for sure.
Yeah.
Raising kids there is crazy to me. Like, I remember growing up being like 14. Like, why the fuck would my parents choose to raise me here? You know, especially because we were poor. I was like, of all cities, like, raising a kid poor in Vegas is very scary. You know what I mean? Because like, it's a city of just drugs and alcohol and sex and
it's crazy.
Dirty money. Like, you know, and it's so easy to get like caught up in that, you know?
So what was your growing up there like? I mean, were you a hooligan growing up there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To the fullest extent. That's like why I started YouTube, doing story times about the shit I was getting into in Vegas.
Right.
Absolutely. You're just like 21 by the time you're like 13, 14. You're partying in the hotels and the casinos, and you know what I mean? Everyone's selling drugs, doing drugs.
So what did your parents do for a living? When did you guys move there?
They lived there for like 20 years before me.
Okay.
And they were like older, like a lot older.
Your parents are older?
Yeah.
Are you an only child?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
But they're not, like, my best friend's family like basically adopted me when I was like 13, like, and took me in. Like, now every holiday I go see them. They're my family 100%. But like my family I was born into, they were just very crazy. I mean, all their money was very illegal. It's so hard. I can't say a lot of things for legal reasons. There's like a whole...
With your parents?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Which is nuts.
Well, so how long did you live with your parents?
I mean, I guess technically until I was like 15, but like by 14, I was like staying with my friends for like months at a time and shit. Like I was out. It was just a very volatile environment. And
so growing up with your parents, they were like, do they have like some kind of, like, what was it? How much older are they?
My parents were like in their 50s raising me.
Okay.
And they just, in my opinion, weren't very good people. Like we just, you know what I mean? They weren't, I was very independent. Like I did everything on my own for as long as I can remember. Just even my meals and my money and getting to school and doing anything. That's one of the main reasons I dropped out of school. Like it was just like, nothing was a functioning routine, and I never learned that. I was very much so independent. And anytime I really needed to fall on a parental figure for anything, it was always my best friend's family.
That's got to be painful, though, that like your relationship with your parents was so fraught.
100%. 100%.
That's hard. That's really...
And obviously being an only child through that as well, and not really having someone to like, and that's why I credit my best friend to like saving my life, or like being my brother. He still lives with me to this day. Like he's literally my brother, and it's amazing. I credit him to really helping me with that. And I've tried to work out, there's so much trauma and so many things that I can't wait to talk about one day. Jeanette McCurdy wrote that book that was like, I'm glad my mom died.
Yeah, is it like that?
100%.
Holy fuck, dude.
Like, I can't wait until, but...
You want your parents to die?
I don't want them to die. I don't want anyone to die.
Would you be sad if they died?
It's weird. I just had this recently, like, I guess I found out through the grapevine that my mom was like super sick, I guess, right? My birth mom. And
you don't talk to them at all. You don't know anything
and
about
even
them.
then it was like it was up in the air of like, what if she dies, right? And I have this whole existential moment of like, I remember crying, and I was like, why am I crying? Like, I don't feel like this person ever loved me. But it's sad knowing that it's closed. I guess you'll always have that irrational hope that they could one day be people and like apologize.
It's not even irrational. We need the love of our...
Well, I just mean situationally irrational. I know they never will.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? You know what I mean? And I went to therapy about it a lot. My therapist was like, and it's hard too when you talk to people about it, because it's very much like, what if my mom dies? And everyone's like, call her, talk to her. That's your mom. And I've always been such a firm believer in like, because people have said that to me my whole life. And, you know, I'm like, I don't talk to my parents. They're not my cup of tea. And people are like, but it's your mom, it's your dad. But to me, it's, if someone never shows you the love.
When you say it wasn't my cup of tea, I don't think people understand.
I know,
because it sounds like there was...
speaking in my legal terms.
It sounds like there was abuse.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it was a really traumatic...
Absolutely.
You know,
but
and so...
I've said that before, and then I've been in court having to almost pay millions of dollars for slander.
Really?
You can slander your parents?
Apparently,
like, what damage are you going to do to them?
Yeah,
So, are you going through litigation right now with your parents?
This was
it's over.
This was like 2-3 years ago, probably.
And did you guys settle?
Yeah,
out of
because
court?
it's basically, I guess I can talk about this. I don't know. I mean,
Well, did you
my
sign an
lawyer-
NDA?
I signed a non-disparagement.
So don't disparage them. That means
Yeah.
you can be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
disparage
I
them.
received a letter, that basically said, you said these things on this reality show. When I was on MTV and I had a show, we went and kind of toured my childhood homes, and I said a lot of things that someone in court could say, create a loss of income, or which is so untrue. It was definitely just a cash grab. Everyone was very, in my opinion, but everyone was very aware of it being like that. And it went back and forth for a while. And then it got to the point where it would have been, and this was peak COVID, so it was all over Zoom and just awful for my mental state as well. Like having to just like relive so much stuff all the time that to me, I felt like I had been beginning to put to rest. And it got to a point where it would have been years in court, and it would have been a public trial, and it would have been like medical subpoenas all the time, and just like so much shit.
You couldn't get rid of it on like before a trial?
I tried as hard as I possibly could.
What the fuck?
And I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them ever again. I don't want to feel that way ever again. I don't want to watch them defend that all the shit that they did to me was that they were good parents. Just watching, in my opinion, lie. And yeah, we settled, and I had to pay them like a couple $100,000.
Wow.
That must
Felt like shit. Oh my God. That was like the day in my head where they really they were dead to me. You know what I mean? Because if you can do that to your kid.
I'm mind blown.
Yeah, you suck. But words can't express how grateful I am for my best friend's family. Like they are literally my mother and my father, and he has siblings, and they're my brother and my sister, and I'm lucky as fuck. Cause you know what I mean? I guess so many people don't go through Tana Mongeau's life where you have a reality show and your parents sue you. And
that was I would say that is a very, 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 very rare upbringing of what you're
100%.
describing. Like that's wild.
Um,
Do you find it odd that like there's two people, they apparently love each other, or they're still together, right? They're not divorced.
I mean, it was the most toxic thing I've
They were not like a happy married couple.
at all.
So it was just all bad. Loveless house.
But 100%. But I think that trauma bonds are very real. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what they're doing, where they're at, anything like that. Probably spending my money, probably at the casino. Gambling.
What was it that you said that they sued that they took issue with? Without saying it's true, just saying this is what
because the way that type of lawsuit works, especially because you can do it two ways. You can pay a lawyer a lump sum, or pay a lawyer hourly, or pay a lawyer, retain them to go do it, or you can pay a lawyer a percentage of if you win.
Yeah.
And that's what they had. You know what I mean? That type of lawyer. And that's scarier too, because then the lawyer is like hungry to, because if they don't win, they don't win any money. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just 1,000 anecdotal sentences. Like, oh, there were roaches in my house
just a
growing
bunch
up.
of shit.
Or, oh, I remember, like, you know what I mean? Hypothetically, I could have said something like, oh, I didn't eat for a week growing up. Like there was no food, or there was roaches in the house, or
so they just itemized all this.
Itemized everything, and then I just had to sit in court and sit there and go through every single sentence and defend it as hard as I can. Like I was talking about how when I got to LA, one of the first things I spent money on was an immense amount of dental work, and then it was because I never really
had dental care.
You can't say it. You can't say it. Yeah, but you can say you got a bunch of dental work, and we can infer what that means.
Yeah. Everything. It was crazy for sure.
Damn.
But I definitely.
And you had to sit through that, and they would sit there too on Zoom.
A lot of it, luckily, thankfully, was mediation based, where I would say something to a mediator, and the mediator would go say it to them, and then they would say something to the mediator, and the mediator would come back and say it, which honestly I think really saved my mental health a lot, because I think that if I had to, you know what I mean, it would have been a lot harder. It was crazy. I just hired my what would be my executive assistant for the next 3 years, and her first real thing with me. Like now it's like, come help me with Dizzy. But with her, it was like, let's go to court every day.
Wow.
And I need you to take notes. And it was nuts. That's how I knew she was a great person and rode for me because it was very intense. But yeah.
Shout out. She's here.
Shout out Kyla. No, that's big. But
That's pretty
okay,
incredible
okay.
that you survived that. That sounds really, really
That's
fucking.
so
yeah, it's hard. I'll
crazy.
definitely have to
Insane.
unpack a lot of trauma, but in my life. But you know what I mean? I got a lot of therapy about it, and the therapist was helped me work through the fact that like, why do I want to give peace to people who never gave me peace and type of thing.
You
know?
want to give peace to them?
No, like if they were dying, like I would only be saying like goodbye for them.
Would you
I
do
guess.
that if they were like on their deathbed? Would you
No.
say anything? No. What if they call? What if you're whatever? I mean, what if they called you and they're like, "Hey, I'm dying. I just want to."
I wouldn't answer.
Really?
I mean, well, I don't answer unknown callers, and I wouldn't answer if it was their number, I guess. And I mean, I guess if somehow an interaction happened where we were on the phone, they said that, I would probably just respond like a human being, like I'm really sorry that's happening, and hope
Damn.
you were in a better place in the last quarter. Got any shit you can sell to give me my money back?
Well, you can't defame dead people. Just saying.
Trust me, I think about that
Once
daily.
they
yeah.
expire,
Yeah,
it's all you.
that actually, I want to write a book so bad. I've written so much about all the shit I've done in LA, but to me, it feels so incomplete without
That's
a
huge.
childhood story. So that's honestly the only reason I don't have a serious but life story up until now out, I guess.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of
As parents, yeah, me too. Like we're parents now, and I can't even imagine. Like,
That's what's exciting for me, though. I will say one of the
It's
things
so
that brings me
broken.
like peace and happiness is one day I can't wait to be a
Yeah.
mother who loves their children
yeah,
so much.
and do it
Unconditional.
your way.
Absolutely. And you know what I mean? And maybe that was the purpose of all of it. I don't know. I'll never know. So anyways, guys, what's Philip DeFranco up
That's
to?
so sad. It's so
No, I'm
sad, and I
interested.
feel like
I think it tells it's very. I mean, this is a huge part of who you are, and
I think that's why I
it
was
really
also
is.
So crazy.
It explains a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
And no,
well,
and
no, but
literally-
how could you not be crazy, like, and do crazy stuff?
Yeah.
It's like what
My
the hell?
first manager, I really accredit to teaching me a lot of so much just shit, social shit I never learned. Like how to, you know what I mean? I accredit so many of my OG scandals to me just being like a lawless fucking fatherless rat. You know, like I needed to learn a lot.
Was there one parent that you had a bigger issue with, or were they both kind of equally horrible?
Equally horrible in different ways,
Wow.
I think. You know what I mean?
God damn.
Yeah.
Being sued by your own parent, I feel like it's like a stab in the heart.
it's
Like
crazy.
what the hell?
We weren't in a good place, you know, when it happened, I guess, but I didn't. That's just such a further thing, you know what
Yes,
I mean?
and it's further, but
It's so hard. I hate having to talk about it because you know me. That's the only time I can't talk about shit the way I want to is when there's legality, and it drives me. And that's what sucks too, is
Yeah.
feeling silenced about it for
Right.
sure. But like, I don't even know. Like, they always, in my opinion, I think that my financial success excited them. There were a lot of instances where I was paying for things. You know what I mean, for them by force. My 18th birthday was the happiest day of my life because I'd been doing this for like 3 years, and they were, I was a minor. They were controlling my finances.
Really?
So, absolutely.
wow.
They were collected. Like if you got a check from YouTube, they would take it.
Or like not give
spend
you. Oh my God, really?
They had access to it.
I mean, yeah, you have to be emancipated legally, at least in the state of Nevada.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, you're under 18. Usually parents aren't that horrible to do that.
100%. And oh my God. And I was so bitter for years seeing the people with the like loving momager who like helps. Oh my God. But, yeah, in Nevada, you have to be like legally emancipated, and usually an emancipation requires a sign off of the parents, but what parent who wants the benefits of
Of
are
course.
gonna, and then obviously there's other ways around that, but they were just so difficult.
Had you looked into the legal options of like separating from your parents? It was that
Yeah.
bad?
Oh my God. I remember being 14, like knowing what emancipation meant. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I was, oh yeah.
And so that I find that interesting. So at what age were you starting to make money based on your career?
Probably 16, 17.
And were you making like a good amount of money back then that was like
Yeah, I mean, I remember my first AdSense check was like, I remember it was like $5,000.
Wow.
That's life changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're 16.
And I'd been dropped out of school for a couple years. It didn't seem like anyone cared about my future. And I was working a minimum wage job.
What were you doing?
I did retail, a bunch of different retail, like
Yeah.
PacSun and
Yeah.
different stores like that.
Yeah.
And in my head, it was like, I'm going to have to work my way up here and save money if I ever wanted a future in an education, or I'm going to go be a stripper because I live in Vegas. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, fuck, what do you do?
Were you
so it was
able to save
life-changing.
money?
Yeah.
You were able to keep some of the money for yourself.
Yeah. And I don't think it was, I wasn't just I never noticed, like, I don't even know. I get so scared to say anything. Because God, I would hate to be back in court. But the shit was just getting bought a lot by, you know what I mean? And I'd moved out at one point, like by 16 or 17, I don't know if I can say all of this. I really don't. I don't think it's in my best interest to tell this story legally. I'm sorry.
Do people know all this stuff? Is this something you've talked about, like with your
This is
background?
actually
your
the
parents'
most in-depth I've talked about it.
People
but
do, because I feel like it's so important to who you are that
100%. And that was a real battle with it. Like, and it still is. Emotionally for me, I would love to be able to just tell my fucking, and I thought I was until I, received that shit. Like, I thought I was able to.
What's the consequence of doing that, I wonder? Like, if you consulted with an attorney, you're like, I just want to say everything. Like, what happens? What's
Another lawsuit.
Another lawsuit.
If that's their journey.
How can they win that lawsuit, though? Or you don't even want to go through that. You don't want to go through
I don't want to go through it.
Yeah.
I really, really, really
Yeah,
don't.
I get
and
it.
it's a lot of money and like it's
time,
and
emotional. Yeah.
It's just terrible.
I remember thinking at one point, like the lawyer, again, their lawyer was so hungry because it was based on that. And the things the lawyer would just come and say, like, are you sure you want to be in court? Because we're going to pitch it like this, this, and this.
We're going to drag it out.
You're a drugged out Hollywood, awful piece of shit who doesn't love their
like,
family.
yeah,
and you have two sweet, two sweet elderly parents who just loved you so much and were the best. Like, it scares you.
Yeah, it's so
like,
bullshit. That's not how the world works.
Is a court going to side with
0% chance, but it's the emotional battle.
Yeah, but I mean, for a while, I think in that time, I really believed, like, what if people didn't believe me? Which is like scary, I guess.
Yeah.
That's really one of the most fucked up things I've heard.
Yeah.
Empathy H3 unlocked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I promise you, I'm fine. You don't have to 5150 me at Coachella.
No, I think actually considering all of that, I'm really impressed that you've managed all this and like going through
I thought you were just a
lawsuits.
mess because I just thought you were a mess. But now I see that there's a whole explanation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes me
really
appreciate
trying
you.
to clean up the mess all these years, but we'll get there. I guess I'm not like, you know how I am. I don't fucking care if people like me or don't. One day I'll be able to tell my whole life story and maybe I'll win some people back. But
I can't wait to read it.
thank you.
It's gonna be, there's like a special poison in that where it's like they put you through this and then they don't even let you have the story.
That's what sucks. That's what sucks. Well, I think some people are often narcissistic with abuse and they don't even want to believe that they are. They don't believe that they are that.
Denial.
And that's all I ever wanted my whole life, just like, hey, I'm sorry. But that's never,
Yeah.
Some
people can't come to terms with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the fantasy that one day they just apologize and like
Now,
they're like, we were right, you were right, and we were wrong?
Now because I've healed from that regard, I guess. I'm not looking for it. It wouldn't. Like now, I just like cool, like when I was younger, absolutely. And you always wish it was different, but I'm also not upset with the hand that I've been dealt. And in the end, I was just home, and my man and I went and visited my family, and they're just so sweet, and it was like so, like Amari, like my best friend's family. It was awesome. Like it's normal to me now, and I love it, and I love them. So
thank God for that, eh?
Yeah.
We're good people out there.